Mahalo. E ho'omalu kākou no ka pule e pule kākou. Auhea oi e ka haku o mākou ka mako alani. Me nā kupuna o mākou e no ke ia hui o e hoi ka CRC e akua i kia kakahiaka. He noi haa ke ia oi ke akua e maliu mai kia pule ana e aua mo nei no ka malama mau o ko Hawaiʻi. Ana mea like ole he kuleana ko no hoi ke ia mako e aua mo nei me ke kōkua me ke alakai a ke kia no hoi o ko mako wahi kupuna. Me na au makua me na kini akua o mako. No leila, e ano ku uwahi pule leo mahalo no hoi ke ia ke kahi no ka maliu mai i ke ia halawai nei. Mama ua no a lele no hoi ke ia pule. Mahalo.
Thank you, Commissioner Kule. Okay, so aloha mai kako. Good morning, everyone. The hybrid meeting of the Cultural Resources Commission will now come to order. Quorum has been established with 5 members in attendance. Is that correct, staff?
Yes.
Today is Wednesday, January 17th, 2024. It is 10:06 a.m. Pursuant to Act 220, Session Laws of Hawaii 2021, which amended the Sunshine Law to allow meetings to be remotely conducted online, effective January 1st, 2022, the Cultural Resources Commission will host a hybrid meeting of online and in-person participants. An in-person location has been identified on the agenda for the public to provide testimony on agenda items and to view the meeting. This meeting can also be viewed live online. A link to the YouTube live stream is provided on the county website. The video recording will remain on the YouTube channel for those who are not able to watch it live. Reports and surveys reviewed during this hearing are available on the county website. Commissioners, please be reminded that only one person may speak at a time. Raise your hand to be recognized if you have a question or a comment. We'll start with introductions. Commissioners, please introduce yourselves and report if others are present in your location. I'll go ahead and start. I'm Aaron Spielman, and my dogs are here. You might see me talking to them, and my better half might walk through here. Commissioner Natalie Kirishima is not with us today, but I'll call on or Commissioner Desmond, sorry about that, and Commissioner Kilohana is not available. Commissioner Scott, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, Scott Mahoney. No one else is present here. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Matthew.
Aloha, Commissioner Matthew Clark. I'm alone in my office today.
Thank you. Commissioner Ku'ule.
Aloha mai kako. I am Ku'ule Kekealani. No one is home with me today.
Thank you. Commissioner Kealoha.
Aloha, this is Commissioner Kealoha Kinney, and no one's in my office this time. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. CRC staff support joining us today are Kevin Sullivan, Planner, Ashley DeVera, Board Secretary, Jean Campbell, Deputy Corporation Counsel. Hi. Is that it? Is that correct, staff? Okay. Pursuant to HRS 92-3, interested persons who want to provide oral testimony may do so either at the beginning of the meeting when the board takes public statements on the agenda or immediately before the specific agenda item is called. Staff, please indicate if there are any members of the public wishing to provide testimony online or in person.
I know Cindy Freitas.
Yes. We have Cindy Freitas, I believe, who submitted written testimony. She may want to speak, and I think that's it. We do have some folks registered in Zoom, but I haven't been notified of anyways. Who wants to testify? But they can speak up.
Are we including Commissioner Nicole Louis' testimony, or you were just talking about oral testimony here today?
I'm sort of just talking about oral, but we have received two written testimonies on this agenda item, one from Nicole, one from Cindy. Nicole's obviously not here, but Cindy has registered for the Zoom. And there's one other, Claire Loprinzi is also, I believe, registered on Zoom. She's one of the consulting parties on this item, but I don't know whether or not, I don't know about her intent to provide additional testimony.
Okay, I'll go ahead and ask Ms. Cindy Freitas first, please. Would you like to, it's our one item of business today. Would you like me to call the item before you testify, or would you like to testify now?
I can testify now.
Okay, mahalo. I think I'd like, and then I'll go ahead and ask Claire and come back to you. Ms. Claire Loprinzi, sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. Are you also planning to testify on the business of the commission today? Sorry, Claire, you're muted right now. Oh, she may not be with us, but we'll come back to Claire. Okay.
Good idea.
Ms. Cindy Freitas, please go ahead if you'd like to give your testimony now.
Aloha. E mele komo ahe mele aloha. Nuna kupuna I ka au I hala. Aloha mai kako. Mahalo for this opportunity. I'm speaking on behalf of the new business for consultation 106 requests. I'm in support of that. There's a lot of issue on this part of this North Sewer line that's coming up. That is the topic here. There's a lot of laws in place to protect our traditional customary practices. And one of them is Act 50, Act 16, Article 12, Section 7, as well as PASH versus Planning Department for the rights of traditional practices, and as well as Kapa'akai Oka'aina versus Land Use Commission to protect and to preserve a historical and prehistorical areas. Mahalo for the opportunity, and I look forward for the consultation. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. We did also receive written testimony from Cindy Freitas, and that was a nice report. Thank you for putting that together.
Thank you.
Sorry, coming back to Ms. Claire Loprinzi, were you also here to testify on behalf of this agenda item?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, and would you like to testify now or after we call the item on the agenda?
Oh, no, I'd like to testify now because I'm getting on and unable to access them. I'm at Mokulele Airlines, so.
10-4, yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, all right. Aloha kako. I'm Claire Loprinzi, and I think a lot of you know who I am. I'm an Indigenous practitioner for over 50 years. I'm doing customary, traditional, and cultural practices and work strongly in the Hawaiian homelands. I mean, I'm all over, mostly working with lineal descendants, but with other people too. My life is a customary, cultural, and traditional practice from the Kona Field system, where I worked at Ehunui Kaimalino for 15 years, and we did the Kona Field system there. And so these cultural practices are just crucial. The kapaya analysis on anything right now needs to be done. Right now, if I'm correct, I think I am correct, it's 1.2 million gallons that are of feces going into Honokahau Harbor. And, you know, that's Chief Mano's place. I take the respect as an Indigenous practitioner. I take that respect to every place I put my feet on, do my olis, do my pules. It's deep with me. And so when you look at the ingredients, if you look at, you're going to make, you know, a cake or something, you know, you need water, you know, and in all the ceremonies that I've been in with the Indigenous people with water. And I know that you have a commissioner that's both Hawaiian and Native American pipe carrier. And I know she understands this. I've danced hula with them. I dance hula. I do all the cultural practices that I can do because I love them and because I'm helping babies into this world. If we don't have clean water, if you guys don't slow it down right now, if you don't just put one, we went through the burial council to try to change, to get the rights of these laws. Who, before you move this water project down, you know, and through who is who's going to make sure that all of these practices and acts and laws that Cindy gave you, I could have a sheet of them if you want me to send them to you too, but you know, you all should know them. Act 50, Kapai analysis, you know, Act 16, you know, you don't even have all of the rules updated too from the thing that they did on the SMA area. And so I look at, you know, permits on land being stamped and the burial council, we could get no justice because we couldn't talk. Our high crest thing was shut down. So you got to go back and look at, Cindy and I work on this daily. You know, we are like, this is not a paid job for us, but it is our kuleana, both of our kuleana. We couldn't go to sleep at nighttime because if we go to sleep at nighttime, those ancestors are going to come and say, do this, 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 and this. So we do this, this, and this, but so slow it down. When you approved Alan Downer, why? And what is the approval? Because when we were going after a property of in the Kalu SMA major and the historical district with houses being built, permits being stamped, when we went through the burial council and all the things, they took down our high crest after they saw every law that has been violated. So we need law, we need justice, we need to slow this process down totally. How come there's pipes, for example, all the way from Kauai High all ready to go in there? How much shit do you think that can go into this water treatment thing, which we don't even know if it's going to work? This has been 3 mayors. I've met with water commissioner people in person. They said this thing is too broken. So when I look at you, to ask you to start, I can't start my video because it's just came on there. I don't think the airlines just let me start it for some reason. But anyway, so when I look at that these laws, and I am going into this, I'm on a couple island trip, and I am going into the legislation right now to asking why aren't these laws being why are they being violated? How come we can't practice customary practices? How come our water is dirty? How come our earth is dirty? You know, so how can we have all the laws that are already in place? Why aren't they? What happens to legislators and people when they don't obey the laws, and who's checking on them? And that's what needs to be done, because if we just keep testifying, and Cindy and I do this weekly, you know, and I think that people know who we are, but if we keep testifying, we are going to keep testifying because that's our kuleana. You know, like I said, we got to sleep at nighttime too, you know, and but how come these not, and what effect does it have on our children? And then I will get off because I have to get on a plane. If not, I'd be probably been another hour. Sorry about that. But for their children, for the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. So how can lineal descendants keep their practices when their oceans are being polluted? Go to the ocean and look to see how much life you even see in there. With our kanaloa, those that we come from, those that we pray to, with Namaka o Kahai, to that goddess at the bottom of Kanaloa. I mean, how do they feel with all this? All the bombing in our oceans, all of the rim pack games, all of the feces in there, the water feces. This is just the icing on the cake. We need to fix things up. So I say, slow down, look at all the laws, go back, look before you even start on this, because stop putting more pipes. They're going all the way from Kauai High down there. Now they're going down Hinalani from there. Thank God we stopped 1,000 people that were supposed to build houses. We've got, it's not just a question just of our land, but it's of our Hawaiian people. Hawaiians are on the endangered species list. So what are we doing? This is not going to be anything to help endangered species and the tribal people of this land and their children. Hawaiian homelands, you know, why aren't these lands being going to them? I'm going to go to Molokai right now. They have 30 acres per family. What are you doing here? No, put solar panels and everything else up there? No. And how come you don't have a lot of people of Hawaiians up there testifying like us that we're doing now? Because they're depressed. Because why? Because if anybody's listening. So I beg you guys, please slow it down. Make sure Act 11 is already back in updated to Act 16. None of these things. Make sure cultural practices. Sit down and talk to us. Sit down and meet with us. I know you have a cultural commission here. And I know at least one, and I love her. She's taught me how to know hula, so I'm grateful. But sit down with us, you know, at least Cindy and I and some other components, sit down and talk with us. So I think that's all I'm going to say because now the Mokulele flight is here. So big thanks for all you guys do. Big mahalo. And please, I'd like to hear from you. And I think Cindy and I would love to sit down, speaking for Cindy, but there's plenty of other people. Let's sit down and talk story where we can go back and forth. And please shut the process down, halt it until we really know how much feces is going into this place. Because you're talking about the Halua water source, and that's going to, so you know, you're looking at Keoho moving Kahaluu, all their feces in there coming down from Kauai High, all theirs. Now you got new developments coming down Hinalani there, and now who else? Who else? Because all you're going to do is run out. Half of the Hawaiians have already been run out of here. Half of the Hawaiians don't have little homes anymore. What do you want? 3/4 of the Hawaiians gone? Do you want them all? Do you want to desecrate them? Do you want to get rid of them, or do you want to flourish them? Okay, big mahalos, big love, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you, Ms. Claire
And
Lopez.
yes, and please tell the commissioner that's on there to give me a call because I've called her several times. Tell her she knows who she is. Love you. Bye. Love her. Bye.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we will call the business of the commission, agenda item number 1, North Kona Sewer Pump Station, PL-CRC-2023-000011. National Historic Preservation Act, Section 106 consultation request. Location Honokohau and Kelekehe, Ahupua'a, North Kona, Hawaii. TMK is 7-4-008:072, 077, 078, and 090, formerly 077 portion 1, and 7-3-009:999. State Department of Health, on behalf of the US EPA, has requested initiation of Section 106 consult with State Historic Preservation Office for certain wastewater sewer improvements to be developed by the County Department of Environmental Management, the DEM. The general location of the project is Mauka of Queen Ka'ahumanu Highway, Koloko, Honokohau National Historical Park. Under Section 106, we have the option of consultation and will motion accordingly. I will now ask staff to present this item to the commission.
Thank you. Let me make sure this share goes right. You guys see my screen? Yeah, okay. So briefly, this is early in the process. 106, the draft EA is not completed yet, but the Section 106 letter request has come in. So we want to, if we do choose to remain consulting party, early and often is the best. So the letter request, like many other Section 106s, we want to look at the area of potential effect. We want to look at the list of consulting parties, which we're on, and see, ask if we can add or have any suggestions for that. And then any info on the actual properties or sites in the area, anything additional we may know of. So again, it's initial consultation. Generally, and you guys, this is all from the information you have in your packet. As mentioned, draft EA is underway. I don't have a timeline on when that would be completed, though. Within the APE in the area of potential effect, there's 19 sites, 8 properties. There is some proposed crossing of the Mamalahoa Trail. There's at least one preservation easement out there. That's 18099. Rick and Alakakai have been out and they've consulted some. And then within 30 meters, about 100 feet of the outside boundary of the AP, I think there's about 10 more sites. I don't have those on here though. And this is just a zoom close up of the Malka side of the improvements where the pump station would go. or the operations building would go.
And can we just kind of identify what we're looking at here? Kevin, is this orange, the area?
Yes, so the red is the area of potential effect. That's the inset. So, oh, you can see my cursor. Okay, good.
And
So there's lines going in here. This is area of potential effect 2, this red. And then the inset, this is the proposed area of potential effect, which coincides with this. So what you're seeing is the Mamalahoa Trail here, seeing some other trail segments here. You're seeing individual sites that are, these are explained in the packet, and also Cindy in her testimony identifies, I believe, 20 sites that coincide with these listed.
And then if you zoom into that next slide, I think, or the.
Yeah, so
this red area, it looks like it's kind of like a road or a flag lot that's connecting maybe to an existing road, and then they would drive into this site that straddles the trail. Is that what we're looking? Trails, I should say.
Right, this is a trail segment. This is the main Mamalahoa. This is another trail segment. Part of this is I think it's mentioned, it's part of the old Lonnie Howe, part of Lonnie Howe development. That's an interpretive trail. There's 18099, and there's an easement up there somewhere. I don't have that. Those are broad strokes. This is sort of salient as well moving forward. They sort of do state that there may be some more work necessary in order to get a finding of no adverse effect in accordance with 106. So there's more to come there. I think initially, for our purposes, we want to, and here's the list of consulting parties. We want to cover this.
I just wanted to point out that both Miss Claire and Miss Cindy are both on that list. Just that was something.
Yes, correct.
Great.
Yeah, Cindy and Claire are there. Nicole's here, and there's some other folks. So, a few things. Let me just keep us on track. So, 2 things. First, we want to look at the area of potential effect, and if we want to offer any comment on that, whether it's sufficient or if we believe it should be expanded or not. That's something that we have the choice of putting in a letter now, or passing on, making a motion on now. And then the second thing is we want to look at the consulting parties list and determine if that's sufficient, or if we want to offer any additional names or organizations. And then we can move into sort of comments. But staff's recommendation would be, this won't be the last time. The question is, 1, do you want to remain a consulting party? 2, do you want to pass anything along in addition to that decision? And then, 3, if that's in a letter, or if you just want to, or if we want to wait until this comes back later, like with the draft EA, and offer it all at one time. And we can start with the area of potential effect. I'll go back to that.
Which are the red areas?
Yes, the red areas. And there's the.
And what is this red on Hinolani? Why is that part of the project as well?
Where are you looking?
Top of slide, Hinolani Road, going left, right on page in a gentle curve. It's just in red for some reason.
Let me get my cursor back.
Oh, I can maybe annotate, I'm not sure.
So the area potential.
Oh,
Is he on there?
at the top. Yeah, you see it at the top.
Up here.
Inani.
Is that part of the project?
Yes, that must be, yes. If it's red, then yes.
Area of potential effect, probably. Sorry, that's what they're listing it as. Okay.
That's gravity sewer line. That's where the gravity sewer line would go. Some more improvements up there. I don't have any sites listed along that. I probably wouldn't be a focus of our review if there's no sites up there. Our focus area probably is going to, it's going to be here in that larger flag lot area where the pump station and the above ground operations will be. And then potentially down on the Mackay side of the highway, down by SP3, where there'll also be lines being put in, is my understanding.
So that would be subterranean below the sites. Is that?
Yes.
Hi, Kevin. This is Commissioner Kinney. Sorry if I missed this, but what are the orange lines on here? Are those the existing?
Those
sewer
are,
lines?
no, the orange lines with the little bit of black, those are historic properties.
Those are the historic properties. Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's just
make sure.
extended. So it's a trail. Those are trail segments.
all of those are trail segments that are in there.
Correct.
Okay.
So you see
And
the
then the red
main,
is like where it's crossing over into those areas. Okay.
yeah, the red
you.
is where they anticipate actual work to happen.
So it's not just not the little points here that are the historic properties, the entire
That's correct.
line, right?
Yes, that's correct. Anything with a number.
Okay. And then I guess the other question I had for you in terms of the APE is just, so they're creating this pumping station, they're moving wastewater from one place to another. Where is it coming from and where is it going? Like, I guess is my question. Like,
I can answer that a couple different ways. One way would be it's coming from commercial and residential sewers, and it's going to a treatment facility. I do not know the regional capture of the actual sewer infrastructure. DEM would know that, and they weren't available to do a presentation this time around. Like I said, they're still working on the draft EA.
Right.
I can find that out. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.
And that is, I'll point out that is one of the things we can do. We can ask for more information.
Absolutely. So, right. And when we move, as we get to the end of this, we make decisions. This could be as simple as tabling the item and directing staff to, go get this information A, B, and C. Or it could be a motion to direct me to formalize it all, in a letter. Yes, we want to remain consulting party. We think the APE is okay, or we suggest you increase it a little bit. And so we can go as intense as we desire this round.
It's sorry
It's early.
to ask a question on the slide that you have on the screen now.
Yes, sir.
What's so hard about moving the red trapezoid further north and east so it's not crossing the trails at 0, 2, and 2, 3, 3, 5, 3? I mean, is that just like impossible, or is it like, why this particular location at this area? That might be, something we would want to, like, could avoid the sites.
Yeah, they're trying to get highway access, of course. And that, I believe, is the primary reason why you see it crossing the trail to the highway. Both portions will be connected by a 12 to 15 foot wide access driveway crossing the Mamalahoa Trail. The below grade pump station is going to be just Malka from existing manholes along Queen K, Kahumanu. And then they'll put electric and control line underneath those access driveways. But right now there is disturbance considered to the Mamalahoa Trail.
Right. In order to do the work underground, they would have to disturb these areas above ground, right?
That's, yes,
And then with this
that's
whole
the way I
area,
read it.
with this whole area that we're looking at now in red, be fenced.
Potentially. But again, if it creates disturbance, then no. So good question as far as their construction management techniques and what they're anticipating. We can ask that.
Aloha, this is Commissioner Clark. At the reading through their letter, I think they're good. It says they're going to try to use an existing breach in the Mamaloa Trail to access that area. I think they're considering a larger APE, and my guess would be if they moved it, there's probably more archaeological sites or cultural sites that would be impacted as well. I'd also like to point out that site 18099 is the historic Honokahau Trail, which I believe is claimed by Nalahele, and that site and 18095, along with others, are within an existing archaeological preserve that they would need to consider. And my recommendation is within the AP, if they could try and lessen impacts to any cultural features during construction or design phase, that would be my recommendation.
That's a very good recommendation. I think that's something we want to include in the letter when we get there.
Yeah, I have a question too for Kevin. Is this is Commissioner Mahoney? I was wondering, is there a list of all these sites and what kind of sites are these? It's not burial sites, are they?
I don't believe so. There's they're listed in the letter somewhat. Let me see here. There's site types include Pohoihoi excavations, trails, mounds, lava tubes, cairns, enclosures, walls, a modified outcrop, at least one petroglyph, pecked Pohoihoi basin, and battered area. Site ages range from pre-contact through historic. As Scott mentioned, one of the trail sites, 18099, which you see there, is the centerpiece of an archaeological preservation easement on the former Lanihau property, referred to as Honokahau Historic Trail Interpretive Complex. And that interpretive complex also contains a portion of the trail that does not overlap with the APE bounds.
Okay, thank you.
Staff, this is Ku'ule. I absolutely echo what Matt had brought forward, looking for the least impact. So I guess one of my questions is site exploration. How much site exploration has been done? And I don't think, that there's going to be a place or a site where there's no impact, but we are looking for minimal impact. So I guess that would be a question that I pose, is the exploration of various sites, or is this like the site? This has to be the site, and kind of the justifications of that. And so then if that's the case, then to look at what Matthew brought forward is minimal and the least amount of impact to the area. But yeah, that was site exploration.
Okay.
And yeah, I think for now that's kind of my initial thoughts. And more information, I would appreciate more information. I understand draft EIA is in process and progress, but and I saw a few individuals on the list that I would have recommended to be, because they are lineal descendants of that Ahukua, but they are on the list. So I guess my question too is, have they already been consulted with or not yet, or is that in process as well?
Thank you. Yeah. So what I heard was, number one, how did they come about with this location for the pump station? And what, if any, alternate locations are there? And then if this is just where it needs to be, according to the engineers and everything, then the impact needs to be minimal. I too had a similar question regarding consultation. I have to operate under the assumption that everybody listed on that consulting parties list has received at minimum the same information that we have in our packet. I make that assumption. That being said, folks like Cindy and Claire, if that's true and they receive this letter, they too can submit anything to DOH as laid out in this letter. Of course, we'll pass it along, and we've taken that as public testimony. But yeah, that's my comment regarding the list of folks. And we can recommend additional people, persons, or organizations to that consulted parties list as we go.
Like the Cultural Resources Commission.
Yes, but we're on here,
Okay.
as is the Burial Council. Na'alahele. Yeah.
Aloha, this is Commissioner Clark.
Yes, sir.
One person I know who's very active with the Mamalo Trail, this section of Queen Kalamano Highway, and I didn't see on the consultant list, was Uncle Paka Harp. He does a lot of work down there. And I also know that I believe this is right across the street from Honokahau National Park.
Yep.
I know they maintain a list of folks for Section 106 consultations, since they do it for every project. I think it would be good if we reached out to them and saw their list as well. And
Could you repeat Uncle's name?
Paka Harp.
HARP?
Yeah.
Harp? Okay.
And I believe the reason for the selection of that area for the pump is it's a parcel that was subdivided out of a larger area. So I think that's the parcel boundary, the red area. And I know there's a planned subdivision road. They haven't built it yet, but I think that's the other line coming through.
Hey, Kevin, could you zoom back out into the bigger map? Commissioner Kinney. Yeah. And I guess I have a sort of a general question. Are we only to consider like the sites that have numbers on them in all of this, or
No.
Can we also consider, like, I guess I'm coming back to like what Cindy, I forget her last name, testified, and Claire Prezi testified as well. And I guess I have some concerns. I just want to, share that, maybe there's some valid concerns that they're bringing up. I'm looking at an article here just from the Earth Justice Organization, about a potential lawsuit. One of the things they talk about is this pump station, it's going to double the amount of sewage, treated sewage going into this system. That's a lot, it's like 3 million gallons. 4 million, sorry, 4 million gallons per day being pumped into Honokaha Harbor. And not as familiar with Honokaha as I am Hilo, but over here we have the same problem, Puhi Bay, you know, that there's just loads and loads of wastewater that's going in there, and it's affecting people. It's affecting how they interact with the ocean, how they continue their practices of being in those spaces. I, personally think there's an environmental justice issue, at least in the Hilo side, affecting our Hawaiian homeland leases. But I guess I would say there's kind of a larger area of traditional and historic practice that ultimately is being maybe impacted significantly in this area. And I guess some of this stuff will come out in an environmental assessment, but I guess I would just suggest that it goes far beyond these lines and points that are here that we're considering right now.
Okay, thank you.
That's a very good point, including the national park off of the harbor just to the north, so which also has cultural practices and mandate for that. Yeah, good points. So Kevin, to gently prod us in a direction, can you please remind us that we can make motions to table with more information requested, or submit a response with written comments, recommendations, and even an impact statement if we want? And is there a third option, or are those the two that we're looking at?
Sorry, I was taking some notes. I think one, we definitely want to reply. It sounds to me like the Cultural Resource Commission wants to remain a consulting party.
Yes.
That alone can be a motion, and directing staff to respond to the October 16th letter and just notify them, yes, we'd like to remain a consulting party for this 106. And then we can either stop there, or we can add a few things. We can definitely let them know that we think the list should grow, and we can go ahead and send these names, Uncle Paka and the National Park consulting list, that be sort of cross-referenced, that they do that. And without the draft EA, and like I said, this is sort of new, we may just want to stop there and reserve the right for more detail in the future once we get more of this info. And then, so that would be the letter part. And then you guys can make motions to me all day to go hunt this, go find out where the sewer is coming from, find out what how they got to reach this site, which I think a lot of that will come out in the draft EA. But yeah, you guys can send me hunting all day long. So that's fine. And I think that's a good balance between, like, you don't want to have to retract anything that you put in a letter early, right? So we keep it simple. Yes, we're very interested in this. We want to remain a consulting party. A little tweak to the list early on. I could make some mention of potential larger effect, but again, I think I would urge maybe to hold off on any formal review of the APE at this time.
And
that
we can
said,
reserve that right for later. We can reserve that right for later when the draft EA is submitted for further consultation.
It's set. The APE is separate from the draft EA. I think that's at the pleasure of the commission. If you guys want to opine on the APE, it is absolutely within your rights as part of this initial letter request. They have they're trying to define an APE, and if we, I think, even want to caution that it might need to increase, then we can mention it. We don't need to tell them what we think it should be, but we could mention that it may deserve some additional research, whether that's related to larger cultural practices, or if it's related to those additional sites that are within sort of a 30-meter buffer, it sounded like in the letter. You do that. Or you could, or again, you can direct staff to, I think you can reserve the right.
Kevin, this is
Yes, sir.
we could ask something maybe like, has the SHPO concurred with the APE for this project yet?
True. Yes.
And
Excellent point.
we could ask if maybe they consult parties or something as part of that.
Can we ask a list of questions in our letter? Because
Sure.
maybe we need more information also.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And that can also be related to the mention of additional archaeological work that's in the letter as well.
It would be nice if we could streamline it, and rather than send you bird dogging questions, have them respond, have DEM respond to that list of questions.
Yeah, it's another county department, so I can liaise that either way, whether a letter or just get an email answers. Based on where this is in the process, informal may be best. But it's up to you guys and gals. Sorry.
So we're at the point now where we could accept motions, or we could continue asking Kevin questions or discussing more, but maybe we have some good options to choose from. I personally like this letter. Oh, hey, Commissioner Desmond Helvea is here, right on. Hey, thank you for joining us, right on.
Like I said, I think first things first, it's like, do you want to stay involved? Remain as a consulting party. So that's like one easy motion right off the bat. And then, but you can couple that in together with, motion to direct staff to inform DEM that we want to remain a consulting party to this 106. And then in that response letter, also direct staff to, mention the additional consulting parties and anything else you want in the letter.
And maybe consideration of the APE, or further consideration of the APE. It would be better to identify that now than have them do the EA and come back and it's all done, and then we have to tell them to go do it again.
Yeah, I agree. Earlier is better if you think that the APE is insufficient as currently designated. And you can also direct, if you want that letter to include mentions of items from the public testimony, for example, Nicole's comments about archaeological monitoring and minimization of trail impacts, and that may relate to the location of the APE. That's fine, but I think at a minimum, it would be prudent for the CRC to formalize their intent to remain consulted, right? Definitely up to or at the time that the draft EA is coming out. And, that's when maybe it would come back. We'd see this again. And then anything related to the consulting party list or the APE.
And it might be nice at the time of the EA when it does come back, if DEM can schedule themselves to
Yes,
present at our meeting.
yes. Yes, I can coordinate that with them.
Especially then when there's more information, we might have more questions and it could be
Right.
convenient. Thank you.
Right.
Sorry, guys, I can't make a motion. I have to call on one of the commissioners to make a motion, please.
I have a comment, if I may.
Oh, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
go ahead, Commissioner Desmond.
Oh, okay, so this is regarding, sorry for coming on late, and I'm glad to see that Aaron is still the chair. By unanimous vote, of course. Yeah,
We
sorry for
haven't
coming on
voted
late.
yet.
So, just to make sure that I'm reading this correct, this involves wastewater department, correct?
Correct. Department of Environmental Management.
Right, and that's with Heather Kimball? There's an environmental council or that Mitch Roth, the mayor had. If not, then I work with a group that has presented to Maui and to the council dealing with wastewater management and trash removal. They have a system that removes reduced carbon release. They also take the waste and turn it into biochar and also into concrete, organic concrete. We just went to Maui, did a presentation there dealing with their what they call trash, which is actually have a lot of iwi kupuna in that trash or toxic waste that they've been talking about, which I presented. So this company, Yame.com, they're willing to invest $300 million. It was presented to the county council. They approved it unanimously, dealing with waste. As you know, Department of Hawaii and Homeland has also adopted that for the 1,400 acres that's going to be released down in Kings Landing. And I think I spoke with Heather Kimball about this system. As you all know, that all of the trash that is collected in Hilo process goes right back into Puhi Bay. Yeah, in Kilkaha. And whatever left over, whatever trash there is, it's sent to Kona for processing and things like that. So I just wanted to share that the person that's leading this, Yame, is a young scientist, the youngest scientist to retire from NASA. She's now a personal friend. She did a presentation here at the council, which, like I said, was unanimously approved. Hawaii is also on board. It's something that anything that has to do with waste management, and if we can stay involved, I think we should stay involved because there's a lot of cultural components. I noticed in their exhibit that they named the one of the practitioners that they did visit was the Royal Order of Kamehameha. And I didn't receive any word on that. And there's a couple other groups that I'm involved with. But I think we should stay involved as the Cultural Resource Commission and weigh in any options that's available, especially dealing with wastewater management.
Hi, guys. This is your Deputy Corporation Counsel. Can I kind of echo what your chair has stated earlier, which is before we stray too far into discussion, we need to get a motion on the floor. The early part is you're welcome to ask questions of the staff about the presentation and the project generally. But before we get too far into discussion, we really do need a motion of some sort on the table. Thanks.
Is the motion to stay involved? I missed that part, I think.
it's up to you guys what the motion is, and I think both Chair and Kevin have explained it
Oh,
multiple
sorry,
times
but
now.
sorry, but Uncle Desmond may not have been here. Uncle Desmond, I would say that at a minimum, I think we want to be a consulting party, remain a consulting party at a minimum. And then beyond that, we had some other motions that might, or discussion points that might come up in the letter.
Right,
Okay,
so
then-
sorry guys to interrupt, but could we specifically ask one of the, before you get too far going round in circles and explaining things again and again, could one of the people who did, one of your members who did hear the options, please, please go ahead and make the motion so we don't get too far out of order here.
I move to accept that we stay involved based on what Chair Spielman had shared with me. If Aaron, you could in the verbiage, correct me in the verbiage, and then I'll make a motion based on that.
I think the Commissioner Desmond is getting at is we want to have a motion here for staff to draft a letter retaining CRC as a consulting party.
I move to accept that
Can I get a
what
second?
was just shared.
Oh, sorry. Do we have discussion now? I'm sorry.
You do need a second.
Oh,
don't
I
think
need a
heard
second.
that.
I'm sorry. Okay, second first.
I'll second that motion. Thanks.
Thank you. Noted, seconded by Commissioner Kealoha. And now we can have discussion? Okay. So staff, that gives you the basis for the letter. And then I see Commissioner Scott's Mahoney's hand up. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, I just have a concern about I mean we talk in EPA and the wastewater departments, because to me that's why I get confused I would think the purpose of the only concern I got as a commissioner for this cultural resource commission are these sites, are these trails, so now so it seems like a lot of emphasis is the sewage plant or wherever they put in that plant. But, I just wondering if we getting out of our kuleana in being concerned with that part. And to me, the main part are all the cultural sites and areas that we have to protect as this commission. So I don't know. Are we supposed to be involved with the actual sewer plant? That's my question. So it seems like it's moving. It seems like it's moving away from where I thought our main concerns are. But I definitely agree that we should stay involved with the whole process. But I just want to make sure I'm not losing focus on what I'm on this board for. So.
Right.
You're correct, Scott, that this commission's kuleana is cultural impacts. And it is up to you to decide how broad that really is. But you would need to, if you're getting into, say, impacts from in the nearshore waters, you would need to definitely have a cultural connection there that you can articulate. So I'm not the expert to be able to tell you exactly where that is, but it does need to have a cultural connection.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I also had the same question, Scott, and I wasn't entirely clear, but I think listening to the testimony of the Cindy and Claire kind of brought it to light to me that there are practices that are happening at the shoreline, whether it's gathering pakai or fishing for your family, and even though it might not be attached to these exact sites that are listed here, for me personally, I believe that those are areas of cultural impact. So if this thing is going to impact the ability of people to do their traditional practices, then that's a concern for me as a commissioner. I mean, I guess also, like, I'm wondering, Kevin, maybe you could tell me, at the bottom of your map here, is that the sewer site? Is that the actual transfer station at the bottom? Do you know? Is that where it's being treated before
On
it
the
gets
bottom right?
pushed in? Yeah,
No,
at the
the
very bottom.
bottom
It kind of
middle.
looks like it.
Those three kind of ponds, rectangular
Yeah.
ponds.
Oh,
Middle.
yes, those are the settling ponds. That's
Those are the
correct.
settling ponds. I can see the ocean right next to the settling
Yeah,
ponds.
it is. And you're on a
And when
very
we're talking
porous
about,
geology.
when I mentioned 4 million gallons, that's not like every month, that's every day. And so right now it's like 2 million gallons, and that seems like a lot to me. And also, like, these guys are pretty good at cleaning the kukai and everything, but these are imperfect systems. They break down. They're affected by storms, big surges, and they're affected by climate change too. You think about that thing is not that far away from the ocean. So I don't know. I'm a little, I kind of feel the same way Scott does. Like, okay, wait, is this attached to this and that's a Kuleana, or is it bigger? But speaking as, I guess I lean towards the bigger, when I kind of look at the whole picture, and I'm really interested to see the EA. I want to see like how they're going to mitigate these risks. I want to see good consultation with the national park that's nearby, as well as all of the people that use that area. Like, people go down there for go fish or catch whatever, so yeah. I'm in support of this motion, and I'm in support of continuing to be a consultant and kind of overseeing like what's going on with all of this, and potentially considering an increase in the size of our scope when we're evaluating the impact of this area.
Thank you.
I just want to I'll just build on what Gene mentioned. There's forest and there's trees. So there are individual sites, right? And I sort of see that as the trees, but there's also a larger forest here. And of course, I'm using that as an analogy, right? Don't miss the forest for the trees thing. You guys have a lot of discretion in how you decide what that forest is and what the cultural impacts are or could be that need to be considered. Specifically, normally what you see is, and in a way, I'm not picking on this project at all, actually, but with 106s, you'll see, like each 106 is a tree. And so there's section 106s all over the island. There's development applications all over the island for this, that, and the other. There's cumulative impacts, right? These are sewer improvements. There's already a sewer system there, right? So that was an old 106. I just want to, for your own perspectives, I don't believe you have to be limited to the impacts on the individual sites only. I think you could, as Gene said, as long as you are articulating those thoughts and those connections, then the recommendation is solid. And again, always remember that, we are not a decision-making body in that where we can, just say no to stuff and outright. So, but you absolutely are asking all the right questions, I think.
I have a comment. It has strong cultural impact, what we do here, because of the loss of our lowlands and near shores. Not speaking for the state of Hawaii, but I'll speak for Big Island, where they built a treatment plant in Kilkaha, promised to do the right thing. I think it was 2011 with Ken Hopkins, we had a large grant to turn it into aquaculture. And what the county did was not put duru in Puhibe, but rerouted it, and now it's back again. And we had I forget what that group was about, near shore. So now the pristine area down at Waikulukulu down in Kingston Landing is now feeling the effects of the Puhibe wastewater management. The loss of reef, loss of it's statewide, yeah, and it's not only in Hawaii. So if these decisions set a precedence for other sewer plants, it's for me personally, it's the loss of our nearshore and lowlands cultural practices, where there's no longer any limu. Maui Lipoa Street was full of lipoa. It's non-existent now because of development and because of sewer treatment. So as a cultural commissioner, I think this has strong cultural impact of what we do. Maybe we're not in the decisions, but just to point out what's being developed over here.
Mahalo, Uncle. I just want to actually make a comment. I don't want to prolong anything. I just want to have and make mention that I truly believe it is beyond the sites that are assigned numbers or whatnot, and particularly to the hono of Honokohau, particularly the cultural practice of kahumano. So there are a few people that do need to be added to the consultant list who are kahumano, particularly of mano that reside right in Honokohau and the outlying areas there of Kekahavaiole, North Kona. So there is a direct link and impact to the kai, the near shore, and the i'a of that particular beautiful area of Kekaha. So just wanted that noted, and to make sure that becomes a part of our mindscape as well. Mahalo.
Molecularly, that kahumano is still there. Whenever we come in with the voyaging canoes, I don't know if it's the she or he, but it's huge. And she always comes swimming by the wa'a to say hi. So yeah, that's the koa out there, yeah. That's his hale. Him, her, or he, him, whatever the.
So we have a motion on the floor with a second to remain a consulting party via a letter. So a letter stating we want to remain a consulting party. We can add to that if we want now, or we can vote on it and then move on to a new motion of what also to put in the letter, like what Kule mentioned, like additional consulting parties. Is that right, Gene, or would they have to amend the motion? Should they just vote on? Should we just vote on?
They would need to amend the motion, so it might be simpler to vote on this one and then make a new motion if there's more to be covered. And I don't know about anybody else, but if you don't need the shared screen anymore, since you're in discussion, it may be easier to look at one another.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't seeing everyone's hands go up, but glad everyone's able to voice their thoughts. If I could, I would like to call for a vote on the motion on the floor, and then let's go ahead and follow that up with something else. So this is just a motion to remain a consulting party and to have staff draft a letter doing so.
Yeah.
Okay. And we have a first and a second. So I'd like to call a roll call vote on that, please, staff.
Thanks. Commissioner Desmond Helmea?
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Scott Mahoney?
Aye.
Commissioner Matt Clark?
Aye.
Commissioner Kule Keakalani?
I,
Commissioner Kealoha Kinney?
Aye.
Chair Spielman?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimous. Staff will draft that letter.
Thank you. And then maybe now we could
Yeah.
consider, it's pretty easy to do these individual motions. Maybe we could have a series of individual motions that get us to the guts of what we want to add to that letter. One being to include other consultants, the ones that, the people that Commissioner Ku'ule recommended, as well as Commissioner Clark, Uncle Paka Harp, the National Historic Park. And then I'm sorry, I didn't write down the names Commissioner Ku'ule mentioned. That might be a good place to start.
Yeah, it could be a motion, motion directing staff to also recommend the following list of additional consulting parties, and then we can list them. I have Uncle Paka Harp, Honokohau National Park, and specifically their whatever consulting list they have. And then, yes, I would need Kule's help. And then any other additions?
sure. Mike Nakachi, his son Kaikia Nakachi, they come under Moana Ohana as particularly Kahumano.
Can we maybe do that in the form of a motion?
Sure, help me out. Yeah, I would make a motion to ask to please include Honokohau National Park Service, Tyler Paikulima, Uncle Harp, Uncle Paka Harp, as well as the Nakachi Ohana as Moana Ohana to be included in the consultation list.
Who was the Tyler? I didn't catch that.
Tyler Paikuli, he's the, I believe, the head of Honokohau National Park.
All right, thank you.
I'll second that motion.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Ku'ule, seconded by Commissioner Matthew Clark. And now we can go discussion on that point. Are there maybe any other names we want to consider or entities we want to consider at this time? If not, I would say we go ahead and call a vote on that. Could we call a roll call vote on that, please, staff? On the motion on the floor?
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Kule,
I,
Commissioner Clark,
Aye.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Aye.
Commissioner Kinney,
Aye.
Commissioner Helmea,
Aye.
and Chair Spielman.
Aye.
Great. Motion passes unanimous.
Awesome. The next thing on my list, I'm just kind of running through the list here, but please let me know if we missed anything. I had a Commissioner Clark comment earlier, and also supported by Commissioner Ku'ule that can we lessen the impacts on the archaeological features during design and construction, and that would maybe include site selection. I think the least impact, the minimal impact. I think we're looking for a motion to convey that idea in the letter. Sorry, in the letter by staff. Yeah.
I guess I can try and make a motion out of that the impacts to cultural resources be considered in the design and construction phase to lessen those impacts if possible, along with considering site selection.
I please need a second on that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Forwarded by Commissioner Matthew Clark, seconded by Commissioner Kule Kekealani. And now we can have discussion on that item. We're talking about specifically the archaeological features here now, right? Not the broader forest. We're talking about the individual sites. And so it just looks like that APE they're showing us overlaps quite a bit with those sites, especially the trails. And we could lessen those impacts. That seems like a great idea, especially if the site could be relocated and still, still work. If that's still part of the goal. So I'd like to call for a. Do we have a motion? We have a motion on this. Okay. I'd like to call for a roll call vote on this too.
Did we get a second? Kool-Aid, yeah, okay. Yes, sorry, roll call. Commissioner Clark.
Aye.
Commissioner Kekealani.
Aye.
Commissioner Kinney.
Aye.
Commissioner Mahoney.
Aye.
And Chair Spielman.
Aye. Did you get Commissioner Desmond Homea?
I did not. Commissioner Helmea.
Aye.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, motion passes unanimous.
Thank you very much. There's two things more I have on the list here. One is the question about the APE and should we address that now and talk about it? And the other is we kind of have a list of questions that we want addressed and we could task Kevin with doing those directly, or we could include questions in the letter back to DEM.
Yeah.
Those are the last two things we have for that I have on my list.
I believe the APE question delves into this mention of site selection. Obviously, we want to minimize impacts to historic cultural resources wherever we're doing construction, right? Wherever it ends up ultimately being the last place we could, the best and last place we choose. Staff slightly hesitant regarding the site selection. My assumption is that that they've looked at sites. We wouldn't be this far along if there was an alternate location elsewhere for this. I'm pretty sure that'll be the answer we get back if I'm a gambling man. That being said, we can absolutely deal with the area of potential effect now or later.
Can we make a recommendation? Could the motion be a recommendation to consider a larger APE?
Yeah.
Along those lines?
Yes, you can. If we can articulate that, absolutely.
Something like the APE identified in the presentation shows the area of proposed construction, but the APE may actually be larger in reality or in practice.
Yeah, the physical construction, the physical disturbance is what I think we may grapple with. So obviously where you got to put a sewer line down, you're going to need to dig and trench and, put things in. But then what I'm also hearing is a possibility to expand the APE just based on the overall.
Kevin?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt again, but my job is to keep the guardrails up. Can we get a motion before we get too far into discussion, even if it's staff discussion, please?
So,
whatever the motion's going to be.
We're looking for a motion to say that the APE
I'm trying to
It
make
can be
sure
a-
that the
it can be a
motion
mo-
is well
Right.
put together.
Understood. And if it's, can we just throw something on the table? And if in the end, after the discussion, we decide we don't really like exactly how it was officially or originally articulated, we can either withdraw it or amend it or vote it down. You're allowed to say no to an motion and then remake one that you like better after that. But just to kind of keep procedurally in line. Thanks.
So maybe a
I-
motion
I
that
can
we
make a
need to.
motion,
Okay.
Aaron, if you want.
Sure, please go ahead.
Okay. So I'd make a motion that in this letter that we recommend considering expanding the APE of the area to consider the coastal areas of traditional practice and I guess I'm just going to throw it on the table because it's a first draft as well. In this motion, I would also say that we would like more information about the ultimate outcome of the pumping station. So not just the impact to the construction sites, but the outcome of doubling sewage outflow into said coastal areas that are nearby.
I'll second that.
Great. So we have a motion by Commissioner Kealoha and a second by Commissioner Desmond, and I'd love to open it up for discussion now on this point.
I have a question. I don't know if it pertains to this motion, but so there's over 30 cultural practitioners and cultural groups that are listed here. Has they all responded? Is there a record of that, of their response?
We don't have that confirmation yet, but the staff assumption was that they had been. However, that is one of our points that we want to follow up on to make sure they have been consulted and not just listed.
Yeah,
And if they did reply, the response.
Yeah, they may not have gotten it right, so better to get them, yeah, got it. And the
Mhm.
response.
That's all I have on that.
I can follow up on that. Anybody on this list?
Before you do that, Kevin, that was
Yeah.
not really, sorry, but that was not really
Um,
related to this motion. So I think maybe either new motion later can we maybe ask for status on consultation? Or just recognize that maybe it's early in the process and we don't know yet, we'll find out. But I think I see Matt with his hand up. That's hopefully on this motion.
Yeah, I was just thinking if for the motion, we could add language that's directly related to section 106, such as the project, the AP should consider the indirect effects of the project, such as the release of additional treated sewage water into the nearshore waters or something like that.
I add that to the 106. Yeah, I like that very much. And maybe that bridges the gap between forest and trees. We're talking about direct and indirect.
Yeah, and it's in the language for section 106. You have to consider both.
Oh,
Yeah.
very good.
Exactly.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to get at.
And then maybe to go back to Commissioner Desmond, I think let's put your question into the questions part in the next motion. So I have that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
To jump on what Matt said, could we request like the safeguards or what happens if the system breaks down? Every single sewer plant I've seen is always near the ocean, and when they back up, they just let them all out. They let them out in the Hawaiʻi, they let them out in Kaului Harbor, every single place. So that thing is just the height alone, it's going to be gravity. There's something's going to go back down to that Honokahau. So I was wondering if they have a plan, if we could see they plan on where the discharge, like Matt was concerned about, so we can see it in writing on how they're going to deal with it. If you could add that in, that concern.
And that might be what we call a mitigation plan. Is that right? Like something happens and then it has to be mitigated.
Yeah.
Could we ask that in the questions section outside of the APE motion?
I would, I think staff's recommendation is to sort of start to cut this off before we start adding too much into the letter. There's going to be another bite at this apple. There's going to be a draft EA. Some of these questions may be answered by that in the draft EA. I'll shepherd whatever questions for it I can. I am only cautioning putting too much into this initial letter. Formally in the letter. That's all.
Yeah, I agree. I think Matt satisfied what I was trying to get at too. So it's good.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor for the APE. And maybe staff, if you could read it back to us. And then
I was afraid you'd hit me on that one. I would like some I'll be wordsmithing a bit on this one. I'm reading some language regarding consideration of the ultimate APE boundary to be correlated with the potential indirect effects of the increased capacity that this project is going to create. So the motion would be that DEM, DOH, EPA, whoever, consider the APE boundary to correlate with any potential indirect effects that may arise from the increased capacity of the sewer system once this project is completed. Is that?
plus putting it in the letter.
Yes, this one would go in that comment would go in the letter.
And we could have maybe add such as the nearshore environment, which seems to be one of the.
Yes, sorry. Coastal areas, nearshore environment, yeah.
Point him in the right direction. Yeah. So that's our motion. It's been seconded. I'd love to call for a roll call vote on this motion, please.
Commissioner Clark,
Aye.
Commissioner Mahoney,
Aye.
Commissioner Kaylani,
Aye.
Commissioner Kinney, Commissioner Kinney,
Aye.
Commissioner Helmea, Uncle Des,
Aye.
Chair Spielman. I got you.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Awesome. It's looking like a good letter. Now the last thing I had on my list, just from the things we've been talking about, were that we had some questions that we might want DEM to answer. And one of those questions seems to be, have these consultants on the list actually been consulted and have they been responded to? And then another question was, well, that's one question. Maybe we should motion that.
Chair, I respectfully, I would disagree with that one. It's part of the Section 106 process that everyone they list needs to be reached out to. And then the next step would be to summarize that consultation, do additional studies. I think, they have reached out to them and we'd have to wait to see if they get a response.
Okay.
Be my opinion.
Okay. That's good to hear too. And Commissioner
Staff
Clark.
concurs.
Okay. The other question we seemed to had to do with, well, we had two more questions. Sorry. One had to do with, where's this coming from? Where's it going to as a general question? I think that's a capacity question, possibly. Also location. And then what's the mitigation plan, if any? And I think maybe staff was cautioning that maybe we just want to wait and see what comes back in the EA because we get another stab at this.
Yeah, we'll remain consulted. And certainly when the draft EA that would be a great time. Have DEM come in, answer a lot of these questions directly, have a more concerted discussion.
That information is likely going to be included in the EA anyway, just as
Correct.
basic information. So you'll see that.
Very good. Thank you. Oh, and I'm sorry, I have Nicole's comments here, Commissioner Nicole Louis' comments here that she wanted to make sure the least impact to the Mamalohoa Trail, which I know we talked about and added in a motion, but also that we have a cultural monitor, archaeological monitoring during the work, which may come out during the next letter, maybe not now kind of thing, but that was one of her comments. I wanted to make sure we at least brought it up.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that one could wait to be in a more specific letter in the future once we get deeper into consultation.
Do we have any timeline on when a draft EA might be available? Is that a this year thing?
I don't, but I would assume so. I would assume this year for sure, especially since it's January. I'm safe to say that. We hope.
And then at some point when the DEM wants to come back with their EA, they would also be available to present to us as an applicant, or?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Very good. I didn't have anything else on my list, but I'd like to just, for covering our purposes here, make sure commissioners are all okay and see if anyone else had anything else to add. And it doesn't look like it. And so if so, maybe Kevin, if you could give us a super overview of that letter. We're writing a letter, I'll sign it, and it'll be to DEM with 3 motions.
It's probably DEM will be on the letter. I'm going to follow this letter, which is any written comments emailed to DOH wastewater branch. But yeah, Ramsey and DEM will definitely be contacted. And the letter is to stay consulted, stay as a consulting party. Pardon me. Add those names to the consulting parties list. The minimization of impacts overall to any historic sites, specifically the trail segments. And then regarding the area potential effect comment, yeah, those 3, the letter with those 3 things. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Or those 4 things? Yeah.
Okay, very good. I think that might conclude that portion of our meeting. Is that okay now to close the business of the commission and move on to administrative matters?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, we'll go ahead and do that. Our last meeting was on November 8th, 2023, and we'll go ahead and take approval of those minutes now. Can I please have a motion to approve the minutes of the Cultural Resources Commission meeting held on November 8th, 2023?
I'll move to accept.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Clark. So I got Commissioner Desmond Halmea motioning for approving the minutes and seconded by Commissioner Clark. Any discussion? I don't see it. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed, say nay. Let it be shown the motion passed unanimously. Minutes approved as circulated. And then, so noted here is election of chair and vice chair of the Cultural Resources Commission for the year 2024. We're looking for nominations here. And so from my side of things, I can't speak for Commissioner Kuroshima. She's our vice chair, but currently not at today's meeting. But from my own standpoint, I definitely was interested in taking this role, and thank you all for letting me serve as the chair. This year has been a wonderful learning experience, and I look forward to continuing as a commissioner. But as chair, I need to take a step back. My personal life was in turmoil this last year with my father-in-law passing, and we basically just trying to get some breathing room. So I very much would like to stay on the commission and plan to do so for the rest of my term. But I please need someone else to be the chair, and I'm not opposed to picking it back up before the end of my term, but one year is okay, but back-to-back years may be too much that I can handle. So I'm not sure what that means. I think Natalie, I'm just speaking for her that she would stay as vice chair, but I don't actually know. And so right now we're just looking at a nomination for the chair, and I'm hoping for, you know, we used to joke in Rotary, look around the table and see who's not here, nominate them. But but we're all well-rounded individuals, and I love that we have a good commission. I will point out that Commissioner Hirano's term expired on December 31st of this last year, but he has graciously agreed to hold over for the next 90 days to March 31st until a replacement is nominated, usually through his legislator and the county council. But let's not nominate Commissioner Hirano to be the chair because he won't be here, right? So, but otherwise, please, I think I just open it up at this time. And sorry, my dogs are running through here. It just stopped raining here, by the way. We had a big downpour. And I'll nominate someone if no one else does.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if it's at all helpful, you are allowed to nominate folks who are not here. You're even allowed to vote them in. It is a little bit conditional because it does require their actual acceptance. So we would have to check outside the meeting to make sure that if you vote somebody in, that they do actually say, okay. If in turn they don't say okay, then we'd have to vote again at the next meeting. And even though Natalie's not here, we should actually also vote on the vice chair. We should vote both positions in at this point.
Okay.
And if you want to vote Natalie back in, you're welcome to do that. She's not here to defend herself.
Okay, very good.
That's always the narrative was, you know, oh, you should have come to the meeting. We just voted you in as chair.
The only thing I remember from Natalie saying last year was that it was maybe a timing constraint or something, and so she was happy to stay vice chair, but well, I'm just saying that. I don't know for sure. So I open it up to members.
I like to nominate Kule for the chair, even though she might be pissed off, but I think she made a great chair for us.
I second that.
And do I have to
Kule,
chair at the same time?
I second.
Do I have to do the? Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, second that.
I have so much aloha for you, Uncle Scott and Uncle Des. I don't know that I can accept, though. I think just a little too full. And that's probably all of our stories, is that our plates are so full. Still a big learning curve for me. So I think I still gotta learn a lot before I kind of take that chair seat. So I'm gonna kind of respectfully and graciously not accept the nomination, but I would like to nominate Matt. Sorry, but thank you, you guys.
I suggest you get a luau plate. Yeah, Matt would be great.
I second.
Thanks, Matt.
Okay. We got a first and a second for Commissioner Matthew Clark. That's awesome. Do we?
Make sure you mute Matt right now, though.
Matt, what do you think about that? How do you feel?
Well, I feel the same as Kule, but I don't know that anyone here wants to be the chair necessarily. I mean, my first instinct is to nominate Natalie, but I know she's not here. You know, is there anyone who would like to be chair? I don't want to force someone else who doesn't want to be. And I could take it on for a year perhaps, but it would not be my first choice.
That's an acceptance right there.
Would you be willing to take on the vice chair if Natalie was chair?
Absolutely. Yeah, if Natalie would be chair, I would certainly take on the vice chair.
So, I mean, why don't we could consider voting Natalie in as the chair, voting Matt in as the vice chair, and then we'll see how it goes. And then at least we've done this kind of step. Okay, so let's say Natalie can't be chair. Would you run the next meeting, Matt?
Yeah, you get emails and coaching, right? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get a lot of staff support.
Yes, and staff is great and they'll call you and they'll schedule everything. And basically I spend a little bit of time on the phone before the meeting going over the agenda and the script and
Okay.
kind of like, what are we doing? And then, you know, the staff will send letters and you sign them and it's all digital and very light lifting.
Okay. Yeah, then I will nominate Natalie to be chair and I will volunteer to be vice chair. If that works.
Thank you very much. And then how do we check with Natalie between now and then?
Staff can take care of that. They
Okay.
can reach out. And if she says no, then we can vote again next month.
Okay. So I would love to have a vote on this and graciously hand my duties over and juggle it back and forth over the years as our schedules allow, right?
I think technically we didn't hear a second.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
So if somebody could toss in a second, then we can go ahead and vote.
I'll second.
So the motion by Commissioner Clark is to nominate Commissioner Kurishima for the chair and to volunteer for Commissioner Clark to volunteer for the vice chair, and seconded by Commissioner Mahoney. And any discussion? Don't see any discussion. I'd like to call for a roll call vote, please. Staff.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Clark,
Aye.
Commissioner Mahoney, Commissioner Mahoney,
Oh, sorry. I.
Commissioner Kailani,
Aye.
Commissioner Kenny,
Aye.
Commissioner Haumea,
Aye.
Chair Spielman.
Aye.
Last time I'll say that.
Thank you. Thank you. The next meeting is tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, 2024. Staff, are there any additional announcements?
We may move that.
Really? Okay. It's
No,
technically.
that's fine for tentative. Yes, it's fine for tentative.
Okay.
Don't have any more announcements at this time. No.
We did really well last year as a commission. I'll just say that we had monthly meetings except for two, one immediately after the Maui fire and one in December. We skipped those two, but as opposed to the year prior where we did every other month. And I think I had a question from County Council member Matt Kleinfelder, I think is his last name, asking basically how often we met. And I just want to say how proud I am of the CRC and how much fun it's been. And, you know, you guys are great. So thank you.
Good job.
I'd like to say thank you, Aaron. I thought you were a great chair and I really appreciate you stepping up and taking that over for the year.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you,
very much.
Aaron. And awesome.
Appreciate that. Oh, sorry, I'm on mute now. Okay, so adjournment. This concludes the item on the agenda. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move to adjourn.
Awesome. Thank you, Commissioner Desmond. A second, please.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Scott Mahoney. Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned. See everybody next time. Take care. Aloha.
Ahui ho.
Thanks, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Mahalo.
Oh.
Hello.